Welcome to Spiritual as Fuck.
Spiritual as fuck.
Where spirituality meets the real world. I'm Liz Volpe, serial entrepreneur, passionate changemaker, and intuitive. I love inspiring people to dream big and create positive change in the world.
I'm Dianne Driscoll, a coach, facilitator, and speaker who uses channeled insights to activate transformation in leaders, entrepreneurs, and changemakers.
We share real and raw spiritual stories, give you a safe space to challenge what's normal, and have some serious fun along the way.
Come join us as we get spiritual as fuck. Today, we explore the incredible topic of animal telepathy with world-renowned telepath, animal communicator, teacher, and coach, Ditte Young. We first came across Ditte's work through the amazing Telepathy Tapes podcast hosted by Ky Dickens. And when we listened to Ditte's episode, we knew we had to reach out to her for an interview as her work and teachings are truly phenomenal. Ditte has had her work published in 4 books. She's a TEDx speaker, and she also teaches her telepathic methods to thousands of people worldwide. So let's do this. Let's dive into the world of animal telepathy.
Welcome back, everybody. Now, today, I just want to start off with a story, actually, because I am a big podcast listener since starting this particular podcast. And a few months ago, I came across the Telepathy Tapes and got absorbed into the thing. Like, wow, I think I listened to every single episode, and it had such a big impact on me. And I came across this wonderful lady, Ditte, who we have here. Welcome, firstly.
Thank you. Thank you.
And it was amazing because I have never necessarily been interested in telepathy, animal communication, or anything like that. Yet I listened to your episode and I hung on every single word, every single story. I sat with your episode and just could not stop thinking about it. Like the stories of how you communicate with animals, telepathy generally, but you as a communicator, your stories blew my mind. Thank you so much for being out in the public, sharing this type of stuff, Ditte. Yeah, I feel like I'm fangirling now.
That makes 2 of us.
Oh, so I'm so excited to get stuck into this because I know that you are very well known in Denmark, where you're from. You are known for communicating telepathically with animals. But on the other side of things, you are a psychic, you're a clairvoyant. And I'd love to go right back. Like, when did this start? When did you notice your gifts? When did they come online?
I guess I was born with the abilities, but as any other children, I thought the animals spoke to me in a language. But I kind of looked at my friends and I knew I'm different. I know this is different. And I couldn't explain how I felt it was different, but literally they told me sentences, the animals. And usually I think a lot of children have that belief, oh, the dog is hungry, or the horse said it is hurting its back or something. And when they turn 7 years old, usually they close their abilities because the parents tell their children the story that, no, this is an imagination, or it's an imaginary friend, or ha ha ha, it's an adventurous story you're telling us. But in my case, my abilities developed and became even stronger. So when I was about 7, 8 years old, I started to predict the future. I started to get information on when people were going to die and what they were going to die from. And that was very overwhelming for me as a 7-year-old. Yeah. And I didn't understand what this was because I grew up in the 80s. And even though it was an interesting thing, yet alternative world, we didn't talk about it. We didn't speak openly about it. And I was born and raised in a very religious home. And my father never supported me in this work. He does today, but I think it's because he didn't know what it was, and he had huge respect for dark crafts or the dark power or devil work or something. And I was very lonely. And I think for most people out there who are called sensitive or emotional, or you're feeling too much, you're overthinking too much, I think we all have access to that gift, but it's a lonely ride. And when I turned 19 years old, and that's a young age, right? I communicated, or sorry, I contacted a school, and in Europe we have a lot of, you know that, right, Dianne? In Ireland, England,
Yeah.
UK, it's very, very renowned. We have to go to schools to
Yes.
get the message straight, to get the ethical and moral standards straight. Whereas, and this is in general, in many other parts of the world, they practice alternative medicine, holistical way, and treatments, but they don't actually have an education or know what they're doing. They're very autodidact. And I knew it was very important for me to understand what is this. And I contacted the school, and she said that I would once become a renowned animal communicator. I would become known in my country and world known. And I thought, well, this is weird, because what is an animal communicator? First,
Wow.
animal communicator, and secondly, she told me, you'll be very famous one day. You'll give birth to a son, and he'll be special gifted, and you will have a lot of opportunities to facilitate clinics, shows, speeches all over the world. And I had absolutely no idea that
Wow.
talking about TEDx, which came later,
Yes.
the Telepathy Tapes, which came, or the Netflix shows I've been on. I had absolutely no idea what she talked about. I was more interested in who's the dad, because I was 19 years old. So who's the dad?
Where's the love of my life?
And 19 years old, I was a late teenager, or an early adult, and started practicing with 60 human beings and 40 animals during that education. And I saw the difference between clairvoyance, mediumship, telepathy, and I discovered how easy it was to get access to telepathy. And when I saw that, I knew this has to be a life mission, because this is way too easy, that I have to pass this on to other people. Because if people knew what animals can tell us, we can create a better world. And I already knew that as a 19-year-old for animals and children. But I also knew the world wasn't ready for speaking openly about telepathy with children, because that would be way too vulnerable. And during those many years, 27 years after, I have now, as today, I understand why I had to start with animal communication. It was
Yes.
easier. It was easier to digest. Now, you said, Liz, oh, you just you listen to every single second. It made a huge impact on you listening to the telepathy tapes, and thank you for that. And that's exactly that reaction, the same reaction people bring to me when they contact me on an email or social medias, because I think that animals are super important in their lives, because they're pure love, and because it's more it's less vulnerable than to deal with autism or our
Yes.
children. It's such
Yeah.
a vulnerable subject. So, yeah, now 27 years later, now here I am, and I've been
Wow.
living out of it for many years, sharing my abilities, because I think it's important to share it with the world.
Yeah, and I think it's like, because it is, you're living your mission completely now, and that, making telepathy known across the world as people are getting more interested in it. But I think what I was struck by when you were speaking there was about like a horse whisperer, as an example, was something that people would have been somewhat used to, or that person has a great way with animals. So it was almost permissive to be that way with animals. But then children, or telepathy with children, is a whole other level. So you've had to break down the barriers with that. But I'd love to ask just around, like, and this is for my own curiosity as much as for our listeners. So when I was a child, I was fascinated with telepathy, and I would always be trying to do telepathy with my granny and with my sister. Just, okay, you think of something and we'll see if we can swap messages. And I just remember being like probably about 7, 8, 9 when I was doing this. But what I would love to understand is, in the realm of like psychic gifts, can you explain what telepathy is, and kind of, show the differences between what's the difference between clairvoyance versus telepathy versus clairaudience, all of those senses. So how do you describe, because I know you teach and educate so many people on it. So, here's the 1 minute masterclass on what is telepathy.
I can only share my truth and my experiences.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure, and I have a huge respect for the fact that when I think I understand everything, I don't understand anything.
Yes.
So it's important for me to be humble in my work. But what I do understand and what I have experienced is telepathy consists of three things. It consists of images in front of my inner eyes, or our inner eyes, which is a snippet of a longer story. Take the example for the listeners who have listened to the Telepathy Tapes and my episode. I talked about the producer Ky Dickens' dog, Tucker, and I got the chance to communicate with Tucker. And I did a live session with him on air. And I told the listeners, or Ky, I see a park. He shows me a park. And that's an image because I saw the park with children running around and a frisbee. But it's not like the story, Tucker was born in 19 something and now he did this and this and this. It's a snippet of something he finds interesting for me. So telepathy, number one method is the images. The second one is thought-based, and that will sound like a thought in my own head, like I'm talking to myself. And that's
okay.
It's so confusing because people think, am I imagining this is a fantasy, or am I schizophrenic, or is this transmitted to me? And when you are very experienced, you differentiate between your thoughts and another soul's thoughts, animal or client or child. And that's a thought. And in the telepathy tapes, I said, and I think he says, take me to a park. And that was the sentence combined with the picture, a park, and take me to a park. Can you see that?
Yeah. Yes.
And the third thing is the emotion. And that's clear sentience, right?
Yeah.
Empathy. I felt it was fun. I felt this is a good thing, because if I had interpreted that image in the wrong way and I've said, oh my God, he hates parks. He has never been in a park. He's afraid of a park. That would have been a different story, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
It's very important to get all three things straight, or ask enough questions for me to get the right picture of the situation, which made me capable of saying, Tucker shows me a park. I think it's not with your family. And he says, take me to our park. And he thinks it's funny.
Wow.
That's the method, telepathy. But I think everyone is capable of transmitting or downloading those things. We see it on our everyday life. I thought about how is my friend doing, and she called me immediately after. The spouses said, oh, I would like a burger, and in comes the other partner and says, I think we should eat burgers for dinner. We keep seeing telepathy all over, all the time, but we don't explain it. We think it's, oh, how funny, it's a coincidence.
Yeah, we dismiss it completely.
being able to reach the point where, and again, I'm humble in my ability, and yet I am experienced, and being able to work with elite writers on that level, I work with them, or being able to create a telepathical session so spot on when it comes to health issues requires a little bit more. It requires a lot of experience. It requires the right questioning technique. It requires the understanding of anatomy and different treatments. And the more knowledge you have, the more tools you have to grab from during a telepathical session, because it's very important to know that you can only download the things you do know, which means if you, Dianne, are interested in some food products, for example, let's say a dog food product, that could be raw meat, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're all in and very focused on raw meat to your dog. What if you had a client, another dog, that couldn't break down the protein as Tucker in the Telepathy Tapes? Then the risk of projecting your knowledge and your interest is huge, right?
Yes. Yeah.
It requires for you not to project your own interest in raw meat to the client.
Yeah.
And your knowledge has to be wider to be able to not make the projection. Does this make sense?
Absolutely. And Liz, for you, probably makes a lot more sense because of the psychic abilities and that interpretation of data that's coming through.
What comes to me is I know that when my gifts first came online and I was out there and I was practicing with humans, for me, I was like, okay, well, I can get validation. Am I saying the right things? Whereas when you're practicing with animals, you have to be spot on, right? Because you're going to be giving the owner advice. You're not able to get that instant validation. So for you, Ditte, when was there like this one particular reading or connection that you did with an animal that really early days just blew your mind because you trusted and you said what came to you, and that was the validation that you needed, that yes, you could communicate with animals?
That's a good question. And I must say, all of them, each and every single time I work as an animal communicator, I pray to the universe to help me become a clean channel. I never take for granted that, hey, that experience, this is no big, I'm just going to go for it. I make myself very humble and pure in that field, which means every single animal I meet, or client, or children, or whatever, as a clairvoyant or telepath, makes a huge impact on me. But I think if I should look for some evidence that truly made me understand how clever these animals are, was the one time I communicated with a horse, and the owner wanted to know what the outcome would be, the gender. Is it a stallion or is it a mare? Because that was pretty important for the owner. We hope for a stallion.
Yes.
And and the mayor said, well, I will give birth to a stallion. I sense I have male energy inside of me, and so do you, Ditte. And I was like, what? Yes, I'm pregnant and you're pregnant too. You have a boy inside of you. And I was like, no, 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 no. I didn't even think of becoming pregnant. And I ran home and took a pregnancy test. And I was pregnant with my son, Philip.
So the horse actually told you that.
I was pregnant.
You were pregnant. That is nuts.
Yeah, it is nuts. That's why I remember this specific story, because I was like, how could she pick that up? It was like the tiniest little nut,
And hey, if you wanted validation, that's a reverse validation. It's like you can go, here's the pregnancy test. Yes, you are right.
And just to recap you, Dianne, with the difference, just while I remember, the horse told me, or Tucker told me, or the animals, they tell me informations, but as a clairvoyant, it's not the client that brings me the informations, it's the guardian team. There's a third party telling me. that is bigger than what their consciousness are aware of. So the information as a clairvoyant comes from a greater place than
Yes.
the human body. So that's the difference.
Wow. Oh my
Oh,
God.
I love it. I totally geek out on this because it's always what I'm fascinated in, how people get their messages, how they interpret the information. Like, and this is a whole new level because, like, as Liz said, we haven't touched on this as a subject before. And, as a pet owner myself, it's like to hear these things is just absolutely fascinating. I need to ask for another. Is there another story or another example of, because I guess if I lean into what you said about having medical knowledge, because your background isn't veterinary care or animal anatomy or physiology. How do you then, like, what is it like if you have a particular story or example where you went in and you were using those sorts of skills, you're tuning into an ailment in the body or, some part of the body that you may not have known what you were looking at?
I always teach my students when it comes to animal communication to know their profession and respect the profession of others. I have collaborated with so many veterinarians and so many clinical hospitals here because I have the reputation I have. I am the one that has been taken seriously, but still there's a long way to go because a lot of veterinarians don't understand this method and are afraid, very afraid of my abilities. Then it's another debate about why are they afraid of it instead of using it and collabing with me. But I always recommend my students, including myself, I always say out loud, I am not the veterinarian. I recommend you to
Yes.
bring this information to the veterinarian to avoid pissing them off, to be frank, and to be very respectful that I could be wrong because I am not the veterinarian. I don't have a 5-year-old degree of anatomy, but I have something else, and I can sense the stages they're in, the level of pains, what to look for, and if we could eventually in the future collaborate and let the medicine world and the academical world meet the more spiritual world, that would be amazing. Some years ago, I had a collaboration with 3 of the biggest veterinarian hospitals in Denmark,
Wow.
and it was a
Wow.
huge story. It came to the news stations, newspapers. Everyone talked about, oh my God, the first animal communicator enters the 3 biggest hospitals. And we had in those cities, I had my room and my clinic, and next to me was the veterinarian, next to me the chiropractor, next to me the dentist, et cetera, et cetera. In the same,
Holistic.
yeah. And the clients, when they came in, when I was in doubt, I just, knocked on the door and asked for the chiropractor or the veterinarian, and in they came, which means, and vice versa, if they doubted a behavioral issue or a personal matter or something, or if it was a mental thing or a shock trauma, they called me, which means for the sake of the clients, the dog owners, when they got in and they got out the door again, we fixed everything within everything. And of course, people got jealous of that,
Yeah.
which means there were 5 veterinarians that harassed those 3 clinics, and we had to shut down the project again because um, the hate was massive. And I asked the universe, what was this?
Yeah.
Why are you giving me this task? This is so humiliating. I've been on the news. I tried to be so naive, and I thought that now the time is there for building bridges between the academic world and the more spiritual world. Why are you taking this away from us again?
Yeah.
And they said, the universe, if we believe in that, I do. They said, because Ditte, everyone in their homes right now talks about animal communication and telepathy. Everyone right now. It's a huge debate, thanks to
Yeah.
you. and you had
Yes.
to sacrifice yourself, and you're just a piece in a puzzle for this to be a thing. And when I understood I had to sacrifice myself for it to become renowned in our country, which it was after that debate, I understood, okay, Jesus hang on a cross. I was humiliated on the news. It's okay. Telepathy is now a thing.
A thing.
Oh, I
Yes.
love that. It's so brave, by the way.
Absolutely. But I love hearing the background story about having those moments of screaming at the universe. Why? It's like we've all been there in some capacity. It's like it's great to hear those, because that brings the rawness and the reality of what happens behind the scenes. Because yeah, I can't ever say that that I've been news in my local country or even on this one side of the globe. But when that happens, it is a case of all of us believe that we're doing the best thing we possibly can. And if we have the gift of healing or helping others, then of course we want more and more of that. So it's a very hard thing to have that played back to us then, that we have to fall on our own sword to a degree and, just let the bigger puzzle fall into place. Oh, I feel it being huge. And I know for you, like particularly since Telepathy Tapes, like I know before Telepathy Tapes, so I definitely don't want to, undermine the work that you've been doing up until then. But I believe the floodgates have opened for you since then. It's almost, and I know on one of your social media posts I had heard about, it was almost like, no one's ever ringing to say, oh, can I book you in 6 months? It's like, everything is now, and my beautiful pet, my beautiful animal, my child, everything is almost that sense of urgency or emergency. And then you're flipping that around to being able to train and teach as many people as possible with online programs. I'd love you to talk a little bit about, because it's not just animals where your telepathy touches on, just obviously into the realm of kids and for parents as well. If you can touch on that a little bit for our listeners who may not have heard the telepathy tapes or don't know you to follow.
All right. So the telepathical ability is a telepathical ability, which means when you are able to practice clairvoyance, which lies in the sixth sense, or telepathy, which lies in the seventh sense, but it's in the same family here, you are able to communicate with everything, which means for some people, they find it more digestible to practice cards, angel cards. Some people need to have a material in their hand to understand, okay, this is a thing. Then comes crystals. Then come people communicate with nature, trees and flowers, birds. Here we have animal communication. I chose animals that are very easy to prove get some sort of evidence from them, which means, can I change a behavior or can I not? Can I make it go to the trail or not? Can I make it change a behavior in the outburst towards other dogs or not? Because I apparently needed that. And that was animals. And then we have clairvoyance, which is I communicate with a guardian team. I tell you your story, your past, your future, et cetera, et cetera. Then we have dementia patients, Alzheimer patients, children in the autism spectrum, children with apraxia. The rank is huge, because when we practice and can read non-verbally, it goes to everything, every branches, every sides of anything, everywhere. And that's a lot to digest.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I believe that it's few people that get the opportunity to make a living out of it, because there are so many frauds out there who are trying to earn a buck on vulnerable people. And I was asked on the telepathy tapes, what about charlatans and frauds? And I just know that the bigger judge up there, God or the universe or who we believe in, will take care of it. They will take
Yes.
care of it, because people can't manipulate with other people that are that vulnerable, as for example autism, the autistic children. And because I became a mother to Philip, and he opened my world for becoming an even better telepath as I am, because he's more talented than I am, and he forced me to practice telepathy all the time, which means before I got him, it was a work and a profession. Now it's my life because I'm in it all the time with him. And when I saw that, I knew I have to pass this on in the future to parents when they are ready, and when society and the world is ready, and it is now, they are ready.
Yeah.
Which means I have those two classes, one for animal lovers and one for parents, and the methods are basically the same, but how to handle it and how to do the questioning technique is different.
I would love for you to dive into your relationship with Philip and tell us a little bit about the story on how your beautiful telepathic relationship built together.
Yeah. Yeah, as I said, it was a horse that spoiled the new your friend.
Ta-da! You're having a baby boy.
9 months later came Philip, and it was a very traumatic birth, and I got a C-section, and I was not sedated, so it was very traumatic.
Oh my God.
And in in the pregnancy, I knew something was off, and I think a lot of mothers had that motherly intuition or the sixth sense that they just know, and that's telepathy again.
Yes.
But then the nurses, the doctors are telling us as parents, no, 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 it's just you that are afraid, or you're a first-time mom, forget about it. And when I gave birth to Philip, and I saw him, I knew, but something is off, because I think he's not looking at me. He has no vision at all, even though he was 3 months, 4 months old. And I told the nurse something is off. And she said, no, 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 it's just you who are just over exaggerating things, and you're just such a hormone mom or something. It's so, yeah. Uh, when people don't believe you and you really
Yes.
know, it's just, yeah, I don't even have the word for what that is. And I fired another nurse, and I said, bring me another nurse. And she got us hospitalized, and in came neurologists, psychologists, doctors. The room was packed with people, and I got the notion, or the informations, that you have a completely blind son who's brain damaged. And I thought to myself, no, 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 no. No, 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 no. I didn't sign up for this. I didn't smoke. I didn't drink. I didn't use the wrong body lotions during my pregnancy. I lived like super clean, super healthy. Why did I get this child? I don't
Yeah.
understand what this is. Are we looking into a stick and blindness forever? Should I give him a service dog? What can I do? And a lot of questions occurred. And Philip kept communicating telepathically to me, uh, please help me, because it's not correct. I'm not blind. And of course, even though I was making a living out of being an animal communicator, it is somewhat different when it's in your personal life.
Of
It's
course.
Absolutely.
It's your baby. Yeah.
And I listened to it, and I asked him telepathically, then how can I train you? And he showed me a lot of colors, like strong colors. So I started to buy the cutlery, red, black. My clothes was red, black, dotted, white, yellow, hysterical colors. And after 4 months, he was 4 months old. His dad stuck his tongue out of his mouth, like you make silly faces
Yeah.
to toddlers, and Philip stuck his tongue out again, or back to us, and I was like, what?
Yes, he saw.
Did he sense that? Did he sense it? Was it telepathy, or was it a vision?
Oh.
And then I believed, okay, there is room, there is light by the end of the tunnel, and I kept training him. And I used my intuition, I used my telepathical abilities with my baby. And now he has a vision, and he's 16 and a half years old, and he can see today. He's, yes, autistic. Yes, he has a minor brain damage, and that's fine because I know that I wouldn't exchange my son for anything in the world, because when you see him, and that was a huge debate I had before I put him out there on my social medias as a mother, because it's my job
Yes.
to protect him. And I know the commentary I've received during the years when it comes to animal communication, but I just knew I have to show the world me, because they
Yeah.
think I'm a weirdo, an odd one out, a guru, a witch, or something. I have to show them I am just a mother, and I just have this ability, and I'd love to pass it on. So I'm trying my best here to bring it down a notch instead of being super excited
Oh,
about
I
the animal communicator, and let people know, hey, I'm just a human being, and I'm a mother, and I'm fighting my battles for my son here. And I can do that because, and he's the happiest boy ever, because I sense his needs all the time. And it's not like I meet them because I get a spoiled kid out of it. I meet them because I understand his literally needs. So there's a
yes.
huge difference if he says, I don't want to do the dishes, or I'm too tired to do the dishes. I
Yes.
understand the difference.
Yeah. I have to say you are so much more than a mum or a basic human. It's like you're a shining light of what's possible for so many of us. And I just want to let our listeners know. So I one of your social media posts had you bringing Philip to the shops to buy a liter of milk. And I ended up in tears watching this. Now I have a 15-year-old daughter, and I'm probably guilty of for a lot of her life being the helicopter parent and kind of hovering around her. And here I was just watching, Philip in all his glory, navigating through, going to the shop, choosing the liter of milk, going over, standing at the cash register, tapping his card, and just, and at the very end of it was both of you giving each other a high five. And I was just overwhelmed to the point of tears when I watched it, just thinking how absolutely glorious. And then I think it was afterwards, shortly afterwards, maybe the following day or something, that I saw about you had made a point about not spoiling our kids. Like, we want to do everything for our kids. But what you really demonstrated to me was the importance of letting our kids do this stuff for themselves. So, and I'll get very personal here, because for me, when my marriage broke up, I wanted to wrap my daughter up in cotton wool. So I would do things. Here's a gesture of love. Here's a thing to do. But as a parent, I'm not setting her up for success when I do things like that. And I think of, Philip has lots of extra challenges. You have extra challenges as a mum. But that one reel, and I'm going to find it and put it into the show notes, because I would love other people to experience it too. And it's one of many things that you share. But in that moment, if you can talk to just your parenting kind of philosophy and how it's woven in with telepathy and understanding the needs. I know that's a huge question, but if you can just talk to a little bit about that, about how this has informed your parenting style and what really that dynamic that both of you have together, because it's two parts. It's very kind of symbiotic relationship between you.
It is. And it's symbiotic when a dog owner has a dog and is creating a own world or a bubble, or the rider that needs to ride a program, a Grand Prix program at the Olympics. They need to be in a bubble and be totally focused on one another. And then we have telepathy. And that's exactly what I'm showing people there on the reels. I'm trying my best to create a reel and see Philip through my eyes, and see the wonder of a neurodivergent child, and what it actually requires to buy one freaking liter of milk. He has to walk, he has to find it, he has to grab it, he has to unlock our door, with a key, and he has only partial sight. So there are so many steps in one very simple thing for all of us. And that's what I'm trying to understand with Philip, that life with him telepathically, because he shows me this is different, or this is difficult, mom. And now the next thing, this is difficult too, mom, which means I never stress him. I never I never raise my demands, quote, demands to my son, but I make it realistic for him to get success. And that's how I treat, I'm sorry, the dog owners as well, when I talk about positive reinforcement and understand, because Philip taught me this. I truly understand why is it we have an animal that has a behavioral issue, and when an animal communicator, a trainer, a therapist, or someone specialized in their fields come out to help them, why is it it's not fixed in all possible situations? Because it's difficult. It's different situations. And Philip taught me that, which means when you have a dog that is aggressive towards other dogs outside, why couldn't you fix it in the backyard? Because maybe the backyard is a different thing. Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
I totally understand his world, Philip's world, which means I can help him in each and every single need he has. And I'm fighting too, because even though I live in Europe, where we have in Denmark, we are known as paying 50% tax because we get free healthcare, hospitals, schools, etc., etc. We still have a system in the world that is a global problem. We don't have a care system for neurodivergent children in general, which I am fighting and hoping the telepathy tapes will help to increase in the future. And I think it will, because what is the coincidence of so many people or families have neurodivergent children in the world? It's not only America, Australia, Ireland, Denmark, India. It's a world problem now. Why is it? And that's a very relevant question to ask ourselves. Is it a paradigm shift because the society is outdated, or is it the children that doesn't fit into our outdated, system? And I've already answered it, because of course, it's the society that is outdated. And we have a lot of explanation for the increased numbers of diagnosed children, because we have better systems. We pick them out earlier, in an earlier stage. This is an effective, very efficient program we have in the psychiatrist system, which is great, because then we can provide the correct help to those children. But what it becomes a huge problem is the aid, the care, the schools, the system out there after the diagnosis can't keep up with the numbers of children.
And that's why I applaud you again for the work that you're doing in this type of arena. I completely resonate. I am also a mum of an autistic boy, and and I've been in all of these challenges too, and I'm fighting the system out there. And you know what? At the end of the day, I come home and I always just feel the strength, the energy, from him. And I just feel like there's so many children out there that are just bringing something new to the world. And it's beautiful that a lot of people are listening and seeing that now. So, yeah. I would love to know, is Philip also, can he telepathically communicate with animals as well? Have you sussed that out?
Yeah, he's pretty good at it, but he is not that interested actually in
Leave that to you, Mum.
I think no, I saw that with dogs he was great, and a pony taught him to walk, because he had motor skills problems as a child, still training it all the time. But in the minute I sat him on a pony, and that pony helped him with the cross field in the brain, because they walked over the diagonal, like from one hindquarter to the front leg, and crossing over diagonally. It jump started something in his brain that made him capable of walking after he was done riding. And after that, the relationship with that pony, he felt somewhat finished with animal communication, and something is has his interest more. And I don't know what he's going to be in the future, but he's savant when it comes to math. And I'm trying my best to figure out how to create jobs for our children out there. But it's
Yes.
a story and a huge project.
Yeah.
Because I believe that could our neurodivergent children, and it's such a huge spectrum. We have very well functioning children, and we have children like my son Philip that needs a lot of care and support out there. But could he get a job? Could he sell an ice cream to another child? Yes. Could he do math in a company? Yes. Could he bring somebody a cup of coffee? Yes. Don't we need those kind of people out there as well? Which that has a huge focus right now in my world to create that project that can inspire people to do the same thing with their children.
Oh, we need this so, so much. And I just feel that we have, so, like, if we could just shift our perspective to one of, we have so much to learn from these children. Like everybody knows, like our education system, our, work structures, our organizational structures, none of those are working for us anymore, political structures. And our kids who are so-called neurodivergent are the ones they have different ways of thinking, different ways of being. We have so much to learn from them. And if we can just all be a little bit more open, a little bit more curious, a little bit more compassionate with those and have the patience to tune into those needs. And that's where, the telepathy work that you're doing, and particularly through your coaches, now that you're very much in this teacher mode, not just practitioner mode, but it's like, okay, I'm a practitioner with patients and animals, but a practitioner as a mother, because you're doing it all day, every day within your own household and your own family. But then it's a case of the ripple effect into, okay, how do I now elevate humanity to get these skills out there? Because, I think all three of us and a lot of our listeners, do believe that these are gifts we're all born with. We just tune out of them. We're kind of conditioned out of them over the years. I would love you to touch on, and it doesn't matter whether it's within your, I guess, teaching parents of animals, so pet parents, or, parents of children. What are some of the things that you've seen there? Are there any themes that you're seeing in what people are picking up, what they're kind of attuning to quickly, or maybe it's even just some of those testimonials that come back of how you have changed the world for people? And I know you've said the word humble, quite a few times, and I can feel it radiating off you. But this is the work you're doing in the world. I'd love to hear it from that. It's definitely not bragging if it's true. My coach always says that's not bragging if it's true. So just, tell us some of those glorious moments that you're seeing, either aha moment for your clients, like as in your students, or that they're coming back to you and telling you how you've changed their lives.
This is a big question, because I have so many to choose from. Again, it's every day of clients, every day, and every single one of my clients make a huge impact on me. I have build up a structure, and it doesn't matter if it's the little pony girl, it's the elite rider, it's the family with the Labrador dog, or whatever. The structure of the way I build up a telepathical session is basically the same. I always ask for the personality profile of the animal, the relationship with the family members or the owner, the motivation for the animal, what would the best day be like for you, and if you could choose, and the health issues and behavioral issues. That's basically it.
Yeah.
And the thing that makes the biggest impact on me every single time, on me as a person, is number two. That's the relationship between the child and the parent, or the animal and the pet owner, because the knowledge they have is out of this world. The dogs knows informations about each and single one of the family members, and they have informations the family members aren't even aware of at the moment I'm sitting there, which means they have future insight as well.
Oh,
That's amazing. Like the whole
oh,
day I was pregnant. Now,
yes.
I didn't know I was pregnant. And that is amazing every single time. Another thing that amazes other people are the health issues, of course. You heard on the telepathy tapes, the elite writer I help, Emily Koenig, who's a very renowned national team writer here in my country. When I helped with those 25 horses that had spots all over the body, and it was water because of the groundwater is rising because of climate changes. I had absolutely no idea that that could be a problem. And again, it makes sense because of course the animals picks up on thunderstorm. They can smell cancer patients. They can smell drugs. We can train them to so many things. So of course it makes an impact on the animals, those sensitive creatures, that we have climate changes and they become sick of it or from it. And
Yeah.
that is the thing that amazes my clients the most. That when I pick up on a health issue which the veterinarians can't even find, and I put the light on it and I'm nailing it, they're like, "Whoa, wow! Now I believe you." So it's
Oh,
very different what
absolutely.
makes an impact on me and what makes an impact on my clients, of course. And I don't have any session at all or any modules on my classes where I don't have an animal owner or a student that is bawling through the information.
Yes.
Because the level of deepness and honesty and pureness when we work with animals or our children, of course, is the highest form and the purest form we can ever find. Because when I do my best to create telepaths or animal communicators out there with no ego at all, because you can't work professionally if you have an ego. Because if you are driven by acknowledgement or what might other people say about me, or would I become the best one, or etc., 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 it creates noise on the line that will make you project or start to create default settings during a very
Yes.
pure session, which is very important. Which means on my classes, I have them physically in Denmark and online. The first module, 6 hours straight or 8 hours straight, I have to help other people to trust themselves. It's not about
Yes.
empathy. It's not about how it works. It's about their confidence. I'm like,
Mm.
what?
Get all that
The
stuff
challenge.
out of the way first. Yes. Oh, yeah.
When they enter, they're interested in, oh, am I an animal communicator? Do I have access to it? How can I do it? I might think I have some sense in something, but I'm not sure. And when I introduce the first exercise to them, they're like, oh, I can't do it, and then they start doubting themselves. So
Yes.
the big task is to remove. It's not telepathy. It takes 5 minutes,
Yeah.
but the whole education is about getting them to trust themselves.
Oh, yes. Yes, yes, yes. Totally agree with that. I've got a question, and you've kind of answered it, but I'd love it to kind of come in your own words. The pet owners out there, or the parents out there that are listening to this right now and going, oh my goodness, like, I'd love to be able to communicate or, know what's wrong with my dog, or, something's happening with my child at the moment. What advice would you have for them to be able to deepen their connection, to be able to figure that stuff out themselves? Or do they need to find someone like you? What would you suggest?
I would suggest to do it themselves because it's a lot cheaper to get to the
And it's on tap.
you have access to your own brain all day. But it's difficult. It's also difficult for me when it's a very vulnerable situation with Philip. Then I'm not capable of practicing it myself. And then I go seek help to a professional I believe in or I get attracted by. But the first thing is meditate. meditate, because when you lower your brain waves, you have to lower your brain waves to remove all those thoughts in your brain that are based on everyday life problems, such as, did I forget the lunchbox? Oh, shoot, can I get to the meeting at right on time? Oh, did my husband remember the football? What are we eating for dinner later? Oh, I forgot to call my friend. This is the thoughts we have in our mind that has absolutely nothing to do with being in the now, right now, which means I highly recommend people to meditate and try to shut down their brains a little bit, just to be able to listen, because we have to listen when it's transferred either as an emotion, picture, or a thought. But if we have that stressful thoughts and noise in our brain, we can't hear it when it's coming to us. So that's rule or tip number one. And my second tip would definitely be to try and figure out some sort of evidence for yourself. That could be, if you have a dog, I'm asking you a question, doggy, and if it's a yes, you have to look to the right, and if it's a no, you have to look to the left. And it will do it. It will do it, but it will only do it once or twice. Because if you keep repeating it, of course the dog is going to say eventually, are you kidding me? Am I a circus pony or what? I just look to the right, So I recommend you not to over exaggerate it. Just ask a question, and the same with children. You can ask for a sign that blink with one eye or look up to the right in the right corner or left corner, and the child will do it once or twice. And then you have to take a pause and then come back again and ask another question.
Oh, that's such good advice. I love the experimenting, right? Because that's
Yes.
the only way you trust this stuff. You've got to get the evidence yourself. Oh my goodness. Do you know what? We are going to be sharing everything that you are doing in our show notes. All your courses, whether you're a parent, a pet owner, you have to go and check all of Ditte's stuff out. It's just incredible. Honestly, thank you so much for being here. It's been such a pleasure to have you on.
Thank you for inviting me. And this is out in what? Australia is a worldwide.
Yeah,
Worldwide, yes.
over 90 countries.
Wow, amazing. I'm honored that you asked me to come to the show. So thank you so much for asking me very qualified, interesting questions. Thank you.
Oh,
Totally fascinating.
yeah, absolutely amazing. And yes, we will be in touch again, I'm sure. And yeah, you've left my mind ticking over. So,
Really?
which is a good sign. Yeah, it's a good sign. I'm not going to be able to sleep tonight. I'm going to be thinking about all the times I communicated with my cat and trying a few things on my son. Oh, thank you so much again, Ditte. We will pop all of the things in the show notes for anyone listening, including obviously Ditte's Instagram and her courses. Thank you so much for tuning in. Definitely, if you have not already pressed that subscribe button, please do. Every bit of support allows us to have incredible guests like Ditte join us. And thank you for being here today.
If you have enjoyed this episode or are a die-hard fan of the show, make sure to subscribe right now so you don't miss out on future episodes. And to share the love, you can give us an awesome 5-star review.
Help us create a world that is spiritual as fuck.